Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking week 8 in the NFL. We're going to run down all the games on Sunday here. Let's start off. We're going to jump right in here. Panthers Falcons will be the first one we talk about. Panthers win this thing 19-13. It wasn't like necessarily a great fantasy day from anybody in this one. Darnold 13 of 24. They didn't ask him to do as much in this one. 129 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did run the ball for 66 yards. He had some design runs there, got him some carries. Hubbard 24 carries, 82 yards, a touchdown. So a good fantasy day for Hubbard there he had 9 receiving, so 91 total yards and a touchdown. That's solid. DJ Moore 4 for 59. That's about it though. That's not, I don't know. Carolina's Carolina, right? They're not that great without McCaffrey, I guess, at this point. Just not much.
No, it was nice to see Chuba, still do well, but this is the issue with Carolina's offense, because you would like to see more out of DJ Moore as well. He had 8 targets, but only 4 for 59. So, you don't expect a lot of him, but you would like to see more than this, even for Sam Darnold, even though we give him a lot of guff. 13 for 24, 129 yards, no TDs, no interceptions is not going to get it done. It got it done today, but usually it won't get it done for anyone, especially in fantasy. No one is going to be a viable option unless your name is McCaffrey. If the offense keeps going this way, even Chuba Hubbard actually is going to be viable, but it's still going to be limited. Luckily he got 24 carries, but he only averaged 3.4 yards. That could easily have been a bad day for him, but good on him. But jumping to the other side, really what it came down to is Atlanta didn't do enough to even push them to a point where they had to try anything creative whatsoever. Matt Ryan, even for him, not a very, very bad game for him. 20 for 27, 146 yards only, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But you're starting to see this team kind of fall apart a little bit. The big news coming today about Ridley, how he is going to be stepping away from football indefinitely. Do you have any immediate thoughts on that? Because that is quite the bombshell.
It is. I guess. I guess you would think Kyle Pitts is going to be littered with targets. It didn't really happen today. It was spread out yet. Tajay Sharp had 6, Patterson 5, Davis 6, Pitts 6. You would think Pitts is the main option though going forward, and he's going to have better days most of the time. But teams know that though too. So there isn't anybody. And this one's odd too, because Russell Gage you would think Russell Gage would have stepped up and been their number 1 now, right? Not even a target. Didn't even get a target.
It's very bizarre. I did not watch this game. I'll be full. I do not know why he did not get a target. That
he was out there, but
confusing.
So I think this actually just hurts the team all around. I know Pitts is going to have his days, but I don't necessarily know if it helps him greatly, because it's just going to be tough when he is the actual only option really out there. Patterson maybe too, but I don't love it. Don't love it for Atlanta. Matt Ryan just had a bad day. You can tell he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. Just don't like this for this offense. This could be a good one to play defenses against now.
I know. And Cordell Patterson he pulled off a decent day.
Yeah,
again.
72 total yards and touchdown.
Yeah, touchdown. Not too productive either way, but enough volume, and obviously got in the end zone again. But I don't know. I'm hoping that, even though he said indefinitely, I'm hoping Calvin Ridley figures out whatever he wants to. I would love to see him back on the football field because he's one hell of a wide receiver. So that's sad for Atlanta fans, but hopefully it works out for the best.
Yep. Actually, also for the Carolina side, one guy we didn't even talk about because he's just become worthless is Robbie Anderson. No catches, 1 target. That's how far it's fallen off for Robbie Anderson. One of my favorite tweets I saw today it said Russell Gage and Robbie Anderson had a conversation after the game. It was pointless. So
okay. Kicking them while they're down with this.
I don't know what happened to Russell Gage, whatever. Robbie Anderson, what's happened to that guy? I just don't understand it, but whatever. Hey, if he's on your roster, he shouldn't be. So please drop him.
Yeah.
All right. How about Buffalo, Miami? 26-11 win for Buffalo. wasn't their greatest effort, but and they let Miami hang close actually and hang in this one at the end, and then they put it away finally. Josh Allen, 249 yards to the air, 2 touchdowns, ran for 1. So really solid day for Allen. Nobody else. Zach Moss, if you're playing him, he had 8 for 19, Singletary 7 for 28. I just would not recommend playing either one of those guys ever. Zach Moss is solely relying on goal line work, and it's not always going to be there.
No,
I just can't recommend this.
No, I don't either. And I think he definitely falls down my list of players to start, obviously running back wise. Yeah. But I do have to say he does kind of fall probably on the lower end of it. But there's a group of running backs that are very touchdown dependent.
Yeah.
So I can't say I would never. I think that in a bind you might be able to because of high potent
if you're
Bills offenses. But I do agree with you. Like I am not looking to start Singletary or Moss. It is, and especially when Josh Allen at his best, he is running in touchdowns, which he did today. Right. 8 for 55 and a touchdown. Not to mention he threw for 2 more. He had himself a day, but obviously that's at the expense of Moss mostly and Singletary.
Moss did add 6 catches for 39. So in a PPR setting, he definitely, it was a much better day that way. Right. Cole Beasley had a solid outing, 10 catches for 110 off 13 targets. Diggs was only 5 for 40, but got himself a touchdown. So made that worthwhile. Dolphins side, Tua played well last week, but that was a good matchup. This week in a tougher matchup, 21-39, 205, no touchdowns and a pick. Myles Gaskin was the lead back in this one, but it was 12 carries, 36 yards. Not the greatest effort, and 3 catches for 19. That's what Myles Gaskin will do for you. He'll do that one week, and next week he might catch 2 touchdowns.
And we knew this though. This is a tough matchup for anyone, let alone for a Miami team that is trying to put things together. But you saw, it's completely team wide as well because Devontae Parker, he came back. They did try to get him a lot of targets, which was great. 11 targets. He turned that into 8 catches for 85 yards. That's wonderful. The one guy that did slow down today finally was Mike Josecki.
Yeah, 3 for 48.
3 for 48. No touchdowns. Even though I do have to say that I picked him up in one of the leagues for whatever reason he was still out there. And I still sat him this week because it's a very, very difficult matchup as far as, defense and the team you're playing for. I do think he bounces back. I really like what I'm seeing out of him. I think 48 yards on against the Bills is a point you can actually be relatively optimistic about.
Then Jalen Waddle, 4 for 29 off 12 targets. That's one of the lowest producing 12 target games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right.
Next they try to get to him.
Man, the targets are there. That's a good sign, right? That's still a good sign. Yeah. Niners, Bears. Niners win 33-22. Garoppolo threw for 322 yards, ran in 2 touchdowns, which Elijah Mitchell owners not happy about that, even though he had a great day. 18 carries, 137 yards, a touchdown. This is 3 100-yard days on the season now for Mitchell.
Mitchell looking very good.
The 100-yard day to start the year. Second week, he wasn't as good. He did get hurt, didn't play the full game, but he had 17 carries. He came back against Arizona, only got 9 carries, 43. But then the last 2 weeks, 18 for 107 and 18 for 137. And he's been a good pickup if you got him. It didn't it had to wait a few weeks again, but it's working out right now.
And those are monster games, and it is very. I mean, first of all, I would love to have him on my team anyway. If you spent the money, he's well worth it at this point. But you do have to feel a little bit better about Garoppolo, pillaging 2 touchdowns away from him, which probably would have went to him because the only other person running the ball was Hasty, and he only had 3 carries.
Right. Yep.
So think about how much larger of a day he could have had. I mean, moving forward, you have to feel really, really good about the production he's had in the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think so. Even when Jeff Wilson comes back, that's always been the point that people have been waiting. Oh, wait till Jeff Wilson comes back. I think Mitchell showed enough at this point. We know, Jeff Wilson is going to probably be the guy. Then he comes in on goal line work a little bit.
I was going to say goal line could really hurt him. But if you're putting up over 100 yards, you can score outside the 5. And that is what you really like to see.
So on the Bears side of things, Justin Fields.
I was going to say, before we jump over to Justin Fields and finally showed something, we have to talk about Debo.
Oh, Debo. Yeah.
Debo, what in the world, man? I am so impressed with the fact every week I keep saying, like, can this be sustainable with everything going on with the quarterback changes, all that? It is. He's killing it. 171 yards. and only on 6 catches. The guy just has a knack for making the big play. So at this point, I'm just done asking and just going to say this guy is phenomenal this year. So Debo, just had to throw his name out there because what a game by him. That was incredible.
Yeah, for the Bears then, Fields has his best day as a pro. He was 19 of 27, 175, touchdown, a pick, but it was 10 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown. And that's what you hope to get from Justin Fields when he was going to be the starter. If he does that, he becomes very fantasy relevant. You know what an interesting thing about this one is? Matt Nagy wasn't there today. He missed the game but due to COVID. No Matt Nagy, and look at Justin Fields running the ball. I don't know. Don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it sure is interesting.
Yeah, we have been waiting to see this version of Justin Fields. I don't know if they've been bringing him along slowly or what, but it is wonderful to see them unleash his rushing ability because the guy is, a good overall football player. We saw that in college. Can that translate to the NFL? It makes it a lot easier when you're making the defense honest by running the ball as well as throwing it. So I think this could help his entire game out and get him some confidence that he desperately needed
for sure
after a really rough start. So that is wonderful to see.
Then Khalil Herbert, 23 carries, only 72 yards out of it. That part's not great, but still 23 carries. Damian Williams only has 2. You gotta love that if you have Herbert right now as you're waiting for Montgomery to come back. Herbert's the guy. Damian Williams is not playing. So Herbert.
It does feel like the Chicago Bears like to use one back at a time.
Yeah.
Because it hurts my heart a little bit. I do have Khalil Herbert in a few different leagues. I was able to pick him up, and you would like to believe as well as he's done that he would have carved more time out. But I just when Montgomery comes back, do you expect it to be the Montgomery show again? And Herbert.
I feel like Herbert can't just go away completely, but we'll see. I mean, we used to say that with remember the Steelers a few years ago where like Connor would come and whoever it was would come in and play great, and whoever, other players, and then the starter would come back and they go away. But it feels like that could happen, but I don't know. I feel like Herbert's shown enough that he has to have a role.
I hope so. I have this feeling in Chicago though, they'll be like, we're going back to giving 20 plus carries to Montgomery, and Khalil Herbert will get like 5. And you're like, that's not enough to do anything. But I mean, good on him. He has definitely made it well worth the opportunity. So that's wonderful. To round it out, Darnell Mooney, 6 catches for 64 yards. Jesse James ends up with the lone touchdown, 3 for 38. Allen Robinson, once again, not a factor, unfortunately.
Not at all.
3 for 21. You thought maybe he was under the Nagy control as well, and Fields going up, but no, that would be the one thing that would be a bright spot if we could see at least one game where he shows out, but not to be right now.
Then let's go over to Steelers Browns. Steelers win this thing 15-10. Browns are only 4-4 actually, which they seem like they're better than this, but they're only 4-4.
I mean that division is so wild.
It is.
I mean. As soon as I wanted to say, and Baker was back, there was no reason. Chubb was back. There's no reason that they should allow Pittsburgh to hold them to 10 points or win, right?
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger probably having not a great season, but obviously he's doing just enough, and they are just feeding the ball to Najee Harris. 26 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Man, talk about sticking to a game plan.
That's what they're doing. And again, it's like this team has been getting hated on. The Steelers have this year about when Roethlisberger's done. This team's like not as good, but they've beaten now the Browns and the Bills this year. So
they're 4-3. They're just hanging around. That is a dangerous team to let hang around like that.
Then Deonta Johnson cost 6 for 98 off 13 targets. Chase Claypool 4 for 45. Pat Freiermuth 4 for 44. Got himself a touchdown. He's interesting. He's had 2 straight weeks of 7 targets. So he's becoming more involved there. Just a guy to keep an eye on. He was 7 for 58 against Seattle a couple weeks ago, and then they had the bye, but that was off 7 targets and another 7 targets this time. So targets at the tight end position. That's what you like to see. And then we got Zach Gentry there, a former Michigan player. I shouldn't have said that because it's bringing back bad thoughts in my mind.
Is that that's why he didn't do that well?
Yeah. Just.
Oh, college football. What a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Not really. Not really. All right. Cleveland. Baker was 20 for 31, 225 yards, no touchdowns, no picks in his game back. Nick Chubb ran the ball 16 times coming back for 61 yards. He got one catch for 8 yards. So not a great day for Chubb. And Deandres Johnson's the one who gets the touchdown. Only 4 carries for Deandres Johnson. We didn't know how that'd play out, if they would use him like they would Hunt. They didn't, but they still got a touchdown. So that's there.
They used him, and this was obviously a very slow game. Like only 10 points. So I don't feel anything too bad about it. Deandres Johnson is, I mean, very much like what we're just talking about for Chicago. He's carved out a role until Hunt comes back. So that'll be very interesting. He only had 4 carries, but the fact that he got in the end zone and the fact that he caught a ball as well shows that they're trying to figure out how to use him and Chubb at the same time. And let's be honest, like Odell Beckham, he only had 1 catch. So Deandres Johnson has as much of a role as Odell Beckham.
Odell Beckham has like no role. It's pointless. He's pointless too. He's just ridiculous. What is going on? I don't even know. I don't even need to talk about it anymore because I just don't understand it. Like I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't feel like he's lost that much. Like he doesn't feel like he's that much less talented than he was on the Giants. But I'm not saying he's exactly the same. He isn't, but he's not. I mean, he's better than a lot of more than this. Yeah, he's a lot better than a lot of players in the NFL. I don't get this. It's
I so love that when we come back to it, it is just us racking our brains, being like, we know how talented of a guy that is. Yeah, that is ridiculous that he only has 1 catch. Whether that be something we don't understand, don't know about, or if that's a flaw in their ability to get him the ball, I don't have the slightest clue. But Jarvis Landry on the other end of the spectrum, who should be their other big wide receiver, does find a way to get the ball, right? 10 targets, 5 catches for 65 yards. Not a spectacular game, but at least he is relevant, and he's just coming off injury. So I do not know what's going on. Other than that, there was no touchdowns thrown. So everyone else kind of insignificant at the moment.
Yep. All right. Eagles, Lions. Eagles win this one 44-6. Lions are really bad. Thought they were playing hard. I don't know what this was.
For the love of all that is sacred, right after we have to go out of our way to be like, you know what? The Lions are playing like well enough. They're not winning. We don't expect them to win, but they play tough and they stay in the game. As soon as that comes out of our mouths, 44-6. And a team, the Philly team, that it looks very, very beatable by many people.
A lot of people thought the Lions might win this thing.
3-5 now. And that was embarrassing. Man, I mean, good for the Eagles, I guess, but this should not have happened. This is an embarrassing loss for Detroit. 0-8. Ugh.
Yep, it is pretty bad. So Jalen Hurts didn't have to do like anything in this one. So his fantasy day actually is kind of poor. 103 yards passing, but he had 71 on the ground, but that still didn't turn into a good fantasy day, but he didn't have to do anything. So that's why sometimes that happens. Boston Scott had 12 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jordan Howard, 12 carries, 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell ends up with 13 for 27. So this was the interesting part about this was without Miles Sanders, a lot of people were picking up Gainwell and playing Gainwell, but in reality, Gainwell's role didn't change at all. He stayed in the same role he's had all season. Boston Scott moved up, Jordan Howard moved up. That was the difference. So, and then that's probably going to be what it keeps going. Don't expect Gainwell to just come in and play all the work. It's not going to be Gainwell. Well, it's going to be Scott and Howard.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult to tell as well. We talked about Boston Scott in our waiver episode, but what I didn't expect was the Jordan Howard kind of move. I mean, if you look at the carry distribution of this game, which once again, they were up immediately. So who knows if this is actually how it's going to play out moving forward. Boston Scott, 12 carries, Jordan Howard, 12 carries, Kenneth Gainwell, 13 carries. It's just what they did with them, who got it in the red zone.
And Gainwell was later on more early on. It was all Scott and Howard, it looked like. And then Gainwell picked him up later. But
yeah, if you're a Miles Sanders owner in one of my leagues, at least, this breaks your heart because you're like, why couldn't you give him this kind of opportunity? I realize you're playing the Lions and this game got out of control, but 4 rushing touchdowns and none of them from Hurts. You're just like, that would have been nice.
46 total carries in this one. And so there wasn't any passing. So Goddard actually is impressive with a 6 for 72 with how little passing they did in this one. They only had 11 completions. Goddard caught 6 of them. So
that is a short, very, very short stat line when it goes from Dallas Goedert, 72 yards.
Yeah.
Quez Watkins, 18 yards. Devontae Smith, 15 yards. And Jack Stoll, 9 yards. Yeah. End of list.
Yep.
It's hilarious. But
Lions, let's say the Lions side of things are really not a lot to talk about. Deandre Swift was a disappointment, especially with Jamal Williams out. 12 carries, 27, 5 catches for 24 yards. Didn't even get that garbage time stat padding there with the catches. It just didn't happen. TJ Hawkinson, 10 for 89 off 11 targets. That was fine. Monroe St. Brown, 3 for 46. Khalifa Raymond, some people were actually throwing Khalifa Raymond in lineups after he's been done a little bit, no catches, 1 target. So,
yeah, this was a terrible, terrible game all the way around.
Number 1 pick, here we come.
Yeah, easily.
Where we're going. All right.
Especially, yeah. Say,
yeah.
We're about to
and there's no quarterback this year to get either. So we'll see.
No.
Titans, Colts. Titans win in overtime, 34-31. Tannehill, 265 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have 2 picks, but it was a solid day for Tannehill. Derrick Henry, not really a lot here. 28 carries. I mean, a lot of carries, 28 of them, but only 68 yards. They bottle him up. This is what Derrick Henry does, though. That's actually very normal. It's just usually he might break 1 or 2. And he breaks 1 or 2 and his numbers are ridiculous. But that's how he normally plays it. He didn't break that one today. So
and then we had the fun mode moment of he's being looked at. Is he injured? That played out real quick, but that was really, really funny. The only other thing that's notable on this, besides this is a really, really good win for Tennessee against an Indianapolis team that I think is like showing that they're a little bit underrated at 3-5 now. But AJ Brown looks like he is back. 11 targets, caught 10 of them, 155 yards and a touchdown. He looks like a beast again.
He does. He's been playing really well these last couple of weeks. He looks like the real deal once again. Now that he's healthy. So Colts side of things here. Wentz was 27 for 51, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of them, which was a killer. It was an overtime. They had the ball. He throws a pick. That's, I guess, that's the part of Wentz that you hate to see. Just when you think he's playing decent and then he does that. That's no good. Jonathan Taylor, 16 carries, 70 yards, got himself a touchdown. He also had 3 catches for 52. Michael Pittman, 10 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns off 15 targets. He's really coming around here. He's looking pretty good. I'd say Michael Pittman is here, starting to really show a lot. These, last week he had 4 for 105, a touchdown. He's up to, that's 4 touchdowns now in the last 4 weeks. So now they play the Jets next week, then Jacksonville the week after. You got to think he's a good little stretch here.
Oh yeah. You have to like what you're saying. And this, I mean, we talked about it. It was very, at least to us, it was very obvious when you saw him scoring the winning touchdown a couple of weeks ago. And you're kind of like, we even said on here, like that looked like a moment where it changed directions of his career a little bit. Like he was obviously always that guy, like they drafted him for that reason, but it finally looked like it clicked, and it clicked with Wentz. So the whole question was, will Wentz still be that guy? Will he be a good quarterback? And man, I mean, you saw it. He trusts the guy more than anyone else on that. I mean, it's not even close. Like he is throwing it up to him, like 15 targets. That is wonderful to see. And Wentz is playing really well. I mean,
that pick was that pick
was really bad. Don't get me wrong, but Wentz is starting to look like a version of his old self. I believe that, at least. I really do. I like where Indianapolis is right now. I think at 3-5, they're going to be kind of overlooked, and people should not be. They're starting to play some really good football.
Yep. All right, let's go over to Jets Bengals, and the Jets win 34-31. Did not see this happening. Jets now have 2 wins on the season. They're against the Titans and the Bengals. What? I don't get it. And they had their backup quarterback in here, Mike White, who goes 37 for 45 for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have 2 picks early. It was looking pretty bad then, but he turned it around, had a really good day where, shoot, we'll see what happens in the next week or so. But man, is it going to start to make a quarterback controversy with Zach Wilson already? That'd be pretty bad, but I don't know. He played well.
He played great. He really did. That is a great, and Cincinnati has been a very good team. It is hilarious. I actually had to look up Mike White and where he came from and all that.
Was it Western Kentucky and South Florida or something?
You're right. Yep, yeah. South Florida, and then the Hilltoppers.
Okay.
But he was drafted in 2018 by Dallas, and just kind of floating around. It's great to see him, take this opportunity and make the most of it. I mean, it's kind of funny. As soon as you start slinging the ball around and you start getting some yardage and moving the ball, suddenly there's a lot of other opportunity for other players on this team that we always thought could show potential or have shown potential, but in this offense, they're just buried. But Michael Carter is one of those names, and he had one heck of a game.
He did on my bench in one league.
Why would you play him? It would have been hilarious if you're like, I played him, I knew. I would have been like, bull crap.
15 carries, 77 yards, a touchdown, 9 catches for 95 yards, 14 targets for Michael Carter in this one. 14 targets, which last week he had 8 catches for 67 yards. That's pretty, I mean, he's catching the ball. Michael Carter is going to definitely move himself up ranks next week. That's for sure. He's going up. But even Ty Johnson, though, his backup, had a good day because of the receiving. He only had 4 carries for 15, but he had 5 catches for 71 and a touchdown. Just all around, a lot of good outings here. Jameson Crowder, 8 for 84. That's a good Jameson Crowder line. That's normal. Elijah Moore, like to see his name out there, 6 for 67 off 6 targets. Pretty solid. One thing about Elijah Moore, last week he only had 1 catch for 13 yards, but it was 6 targets last week as well. And then he ran a touchdown in last week. So he didn't have catches, but he ran one in and he had 6 targets. So it's 2 weeks of 6 targets. I mean, I'm interested. Like it's something.
Yes. And he is one of those names that we liked early on because he's a very talented young wide receiver, a rookie. Their offense hasn't been in a place that can support him, but I'm not expecting this every week, but if they can keep moving the ball, all of a sudden these guys are, we keep an eye on them. Yep. So, not ready to pick him up yet, but I'm glad, very, very glad for him.
So for the Bengals, Joe Burrow had a solid outing, 21 of 34, 259, 3 touchdowns, did throw a pick. Mixon was 14 carries, 33 yards, not a great day on the ground, but he ran for a touchdown. And then he also caught a touchdown, 4 for 58. So he had a good fantasy day with the 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase kind of came back down to earth, only a 3 for 32, but hey, he caught a touchdown, didn't kill you because of the touchdown. Boyd caught a touchdown as well in this one, but Higgins had the most yards with 97 off 4 catches. I'm just not sure what happened here. I mean, they scored a lot of points. They were up by 11, I believe, at one point. And I know this because I had them minus 11 today. I had a same game parlay of them minus 11 and the over. And I had it at one point. We had the over and they were minus 11. And I'm like, all right, here we go. It's going to happen. And nope, that's not what happened. But I wouldn't read too much into this for the Bengals. They just, I don't know. They had an 11-point lead. I think they kind of let off the gas a little bit. Something, kind of started overlooking it. Well, they should bounce back. I'm not that worried about that one. How about Rams, Texans, 38-22. And honestly, it wasn't even that close. Houston, I think, scored a touchdown, got an onside kick, scored another touchdown there at the end to even make it 38-22. Rams just rolled in this one. Stafford, 21 of 32, 305, 3 touchdowns. He keeps playing well. Darrell Henderson, 14 for 90 and a touchdown. Robert Woods ran a touchdown in there. Cooper Kupp just keeps on going. This guy's ridiculously good. 7 for 115, a touchdown. Robert Woods caught a touchdown as well to go along with his rushing touchdown. So we got that going for him. So
they're finding ways to get him the ball, and that's good for Woods owners. And Darrell Henderson keeps looking really, really good. But yeah, they're right now they're rolling 7-1. They're a good looking team right now.
They are,
and they were playing Houston, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I mean, the fact they put up 22 points.
It was like all in the fourth quarter, basically. So.
Yeah, it was. Actually, it was all 22 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so they stopped. Rams just stopped playing. For Houston, Davis Mills had 310 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Rex Burkhead led the day in the running with 4 carries for 21 yards. He did get a touchdown. Oh yeah, that's an ugly backfield. Even now that Ingram's gone, it's really bad. Houston they don't have David Johnson on your team. Don't have any of the, I still see David Johnson on something. I saw people even picking him up because Mark Ingram got traded. No, don't have him on your team. He had 2 carries for 4 yards. He's worthless. He's absolutely worthless. So don't have him. Brandon Cooks, a 6 for 83 and a touchdown. Brandon Cooks is the only player on this team that you'd even think about playing ever. There's just nobody else. All right. How about Patriots, Chargers? Patriots win 27-24. Good win for the Patriots, but this is now 2 straight losses for the Chargers? They got blown out. What was it? A week or 2 ago? It was 2 weeks ago. Well, in the last play, then they come back and they at home and lose to the Patriots, who are okay, but they're not the greatest team in the world. But Mac Jones was 18 of 35, 218, no touchdowns, no picks. So not really a big day there. Damian Harris, though, 23 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. So that's, that's They got only one offensive touchdown and they win this game yet.
Yeah. And Damien Harris is pretty much the only player you want on this team, unless you're, streaming Hunter Henry or something of that nature, like tight end. Is there anyone else that you kind of liked it? I mean, good for them. They're 4-4. They got the win, but they have a very, very, very ground and pound.
Yeah.
They are going to grind out the game approach, right? They're not going to overwhelm a team with all their trickery. Is there anyone else that you're intrigued by at all on this team, like after half the season?
Honestly, the only other player I would even play is Hunter Henry, even though he was only 1 for 33 today. And that's because the tight end position is not great, but he seems to be an option in the red zone. Now, even so, he did have a red zone look or two in this one too, but he's the only other player I'd even think about at this point. It's just him. And that's you start him when you don't have other options. You just don't feel great about it. Like I did start him today. I started in the last few weeks, but Gronk's my regular tight end who's been hurt. And I didn't feel comfortable playing Gronk today. And that played out right. He didn't do anything either. So Hunter Henry's about the only other one. For the Chargers here, Justin Herbert, not a great day. 18 of 35, 223, two touchdowns, but 2 picks. Just not a great outing. Justin Jackson, 3 carries, 79 yards, but was off a 75-yard run where he got ran down from behind. Didn't really show a lot of speed on that one, to be honest, at the end. Austin Eckler, 11 for 64 and a touchdown. Did catch 6 balls for 60 yards. So good day there for him, 124 total yards and a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Mike Williams, 2 for 19.
Yeah, coming down to earth.
He is. That's last game before the bye, he was 2 for 27. But if you really look at it, 3 of his last 4 games have been pretty poor. Week 4, he was 1 for 11. He came back, though, against Cleveland and was a monster, 8 for 165 and 2 touchdowns, but then 2 for 27, 2 for 19. Yeah, I don't know. Don't love that, but he has the big games in him, so it's hard to sit him. It's one of these, you just don't know which one you're going to get, but yeah, it depends on your other options.
Yeah. His upside is too great. I think
it is. He is. He's one of those you really have to, because he has that massive upside.
Yeah. And Herbert is kind of the same. And if they're clicking at the same time, whew.
All right, let's go to the next game. Seattle, Jacksonville. Seattle won this one pretty easily, 31-7. Geno, 20 for 24, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just managed this game properly, right? That's all he had to do.
Jacksonville even made Geno Smith look good.
Yeah, so. Geno Smith was a good game manager in this one.
Yeah, and which is hilarious. I mean, I can skip over. I mean, no one did anything in the rushing game.
No,
Geno Smith had a rushing. He did have a rushing touchdown on top of his 2, so he had a really nice game. But it was only 4 people caught balls, but it was all Lockett and all Metcalf. Metcalf had 6 for 43 with the 2 touchdowns, and Lockett, after we're like, is he ever going to revert back to the first couple of weeks? 12 for 142. So he did bounce back, but once again, it's against Jacksonville. What do you take away from this as far as Lockett? Everyone knows Metcalf is, you're starting him. What do you?
Lockett's he's still wide receiver 3 option to play. You should probably still be looking to play him a lot of weeks. I did have one of the guys I'm going against this week started Devin Singletary at the flex over Tyler Lockett, I believe it was. Don't do that. Don't do that. if you have that in front of you, you play Lockett. It's really going to depend on matchup. I wouldn't hesitate to play Lockett. Like it, I think he's going to have some of these games. This is what Lockett I think's always done. This isn't anything new or anything surprising to me. He has big games and he disappears some weeks.
Does having Geno Smith under center, does that kind of take away from Metcalf or Lockett? I mean, today he was good.
It does a little bit. It definitely does. It's not Russell Wilson, so it does, but not enough. Like for with Metcalf, it definitely doesn't take away anything for you to play. You play the guy, obviously. And Lockett, really, to me, you both still play him. Like, can't wait till Russell comes back, but yeah, you still play these guys. Metcalf especially, 2 touchdowns, but that's what he's been doing all year. It's not a lot of catches usually. The yards aren't always big, but he's a look. They look at him in the red zone. So, yeah. All right. Jacksonville, Lawrence was 32 of 54, 238, touchdown, a pick. James Robinson was hurt in this one early on. We have to see what that is. He only had 4 carries for 22 yards before he got hurt. 1 catch, 17 yards. If he's hurt, Carlos Hyde's going to come in. Yeah, don't really care about that.
Now you're not playing anyone on that team. That's pretty much what happens.
Dan Arnold led the way with 8 for 68. Hyde did catch 6 balls for 40. Jamal Agnew caught a touchdown off 6 for 38. Marvin Jones 5 for 35. Chenault 2 for 13. Not a good team there. Just not a good team. All right, how about Broncos versus the football team? Washington had 10, Broncos 17. I should say the score 17-10. This was Washington had a couple chances actually here to tie this thing at the end. They had the ball, threw a pick, stopped them, forced a fumble on third down. Melvin Gordon fumbled the ball on third down. They get the ball back and just did nothing with it. So Broncos here, Bridgewater 19-26, 213 and a touchdown. Melvin Gordon 10 for 47, a touchdown. Javonte Williams 9 for 35, no touchdowns. That split's just not going away. It's yeah. If you own either of them, it's just no fun at all. Tim Patrick had the most yards with 64. Jerry Jeudy had the most catches with 4. Just not a lot going on in the passing game today. Cortland Sutton was 2 for 40. Not much happening there. But for Washington, it was Heineke with 24 of 39, 270, a touchdown, 2 picks. Antonio Gibson, what's the deal here? Is he just too hurt where he can't play a full game? Is this what's going on?
That's what it feels like to me. I mean,
right.
It's too bad. He does seem like a very talented player. I just don't think you're going to see a full version of him this year. I don't know. I've just became okay with it. I mean, in my mind, I don't know. I mean, do you think that there's a chance that on this team he heals up and we get to see him at 100%?
It doesn't feel like it, right? I feel like this is the kind of, I mean, how is he going to heal? He's playing all the time. Like, how's he truly going to heal up? And I just think we're not going to see a very good Antonio Gibson this year.
Yeah.
So,
and he still managed to be relevant. I mean, not a lot, but it just feels like very, very strange. Like, if you really want to protect him, why give him 8 carries? Why,
it's weird.
Why do these things with him? Maybe he's okay, maybe he's not, but he doesn't look fully like
doesn't this feel like we're shutting this guy down at some point kind of thing?
I mean, they should. I mean, I don't, you don't want him to if you own him, but yeah, you just should. You're not playing for anything. You're 2-6. You're trying to get the young guys. He can already play. Give someone else a chance. That's totally fine. Yeah, I mean, jumping around, J.D. McKissick, 8 for 83. That he's kind of a bright spot a little bit right now. And then we have Terry McLaurin, who I always like to bring up. He's very up and down. Like, it's very hard to bench him because he's had 3 games over 100 yards with multiple, like 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Then the other games are all poor. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're very big, they're exactly like this. Even if you were a PPR guy, like full PPR, those games, he does not get a lot of catches. I mean, 3 for 23 does not get it done. And it goes from like 2 and 22 to 7 and 123 and a touchdown. Where's your head at with McLaurin? Because I know you like the guy.
I mean, it's just another one of those guys. You just start him and you just hope you get the bigger game. But you're not confident in it. I'm not confident in it week to week. And I think Heineke's such an up and down player too. I think that really drives this. Heineke can be good some weeks, and then you see the other weeks and you're like, okay, this is why this guy's a backup quarterback in the league. And this was one of those weeks, and I don't think it's going to just stay like that. Once Ryan Fitzpatrick hopefully comes back, we'll see if it changes. I don't even know if that'll change because Ryan Fitzpatrick's like that too. So
yeah, true.
It's just kind of the same deal. But all right, how about go to the final game here to talk about Saints-Bucks. Saints win 36-27, which was kind of surprising here. Saints are now 5-2. Bucks are 6-2. Jameis was injured in this one, and it doesn't sound good. I'm hearing the rumors of ACL, MCL on Twitter, so it's not great. So with Jameis out, there was no Taysom Hill this week because of concussion. Trevor Simeon comes in and leads the Saints to a win. It was 16 for 29 at 159 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 19 for 61 and a touchdown. He caught 3 balls for 15. Mark Ingram did play after being traded, 6 for 27 on the ground. He actually caught 2 balls for 25 as well. Yeah, but that Jameis being out, I mean, really, so this is what's going to happen is Taysom Hill's the quarterback starting next week. This changes a lot.
Yeah, that is
what happens now. Huge. We don't know. We don't know how this plays out for Alvin Kamara. I don't know.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is a big one. You don't, because no one was really catching the ball anyway. So
there's nothing to talk about. Everyone, it's just all spread.
And then also, if you were holding on to the QB waiting in the wings, I mean, where does he rank for you starting game 1? He
just becomes, I don't know exactly, but it feels like I mean, I probably rank him week 1. He's only in my top 20, but I can see the upside jumping up the top 15 upside right away with that running ability. Like it's going to quickly jump up if we see it being used like we did last year at times where, man, he's so interesting. He changes so much stuff here for fantasy, I believe. Just in general, just all of a sudden there's this another option. Jameis wasn't really a fantasy option. And if you get Taysom Hill running the ball, that man, he becomes so interesting. So interesting. Yeah, if you're a team that's been streaming quarterback all year, I'd probably go get Taysom Hill and roll with that one rather than go through like the Daniel Joneses and the Matt Ryans and, the Sam Darnolds before and that level of player. If you've been doing that, go get Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is, as far as the waiver goes and streaming options, he becomes very, very interesting. Do you think that Trevor Simeon, he's been around the league a little bit, 16 for 29, 159 yards and a touchdown. He played fine, especially coming off the bench. Does he get in the way of this QB situation?
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think so.
But
I don't think there's any way. So Taysom Hill will be interesting for sure. For the Bucs side, we'll end this thing with Bucs side of things. Brady was 28 of 40, 4 touchdowns off 375 yards, but he threw 2 picks and one of them was pick 6 there in the end when they were down. What were they? I think it was 27, 29, 27. They were only down 1 or 2 points, whatever.
They were driving for the win.
Yeah. They were just, and he throws a pick 6. So that part sucked. Other than that, he had a good day. Leonard Fournette, this was disappointing if you had Leonard Fournette and you were starting to really enjoy what you were seeing from him. Only 8 for 26 in this one, 3 catches for 17 yards. Chris Godwin was 8 for 140 and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 2 for 48, but did catch a nice 41-yard touchdown. Let's see who. Gio Bernard caught a touchdown, and then the other touchdown went to Cyril Grayson. Okay. All right. Never heard of him.
All right.
Never heard of the guy, but hey, there we go. And actually Tyler Johnson, very interesting. 5 for 65 there. Not a bad outing, but that's without no Antonio Brown. Wait till Antonio Brown comes back. In Gronk, he had, I think, 1 target in this one. So
it's good to see him back in the lineup. Yep. That's pretty much what.
Well, it was, and then he left with back spasms. So
yeah.
We'll see where that goes. But all right, there we go. There's week 8 in the books. Well, still 2 more games going on, but Cowboys Vikings are currently locked up at 13-13 in the 4th. And that's the only other game that we have Monday night. But yeah, this has not been a very high scoring game today, which I thought it might be. But no Dak, I guess that does it to you. But all right, that'll do it. Week 8. We'll be back with waiver wire next for you. Talk to you then.